Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie, and I have some lovely dabs to take with you. They're not quite ready yet. I'm quite ready, but they're not quite ready. I'll have them ready momentarily. I have some interesting videos. I have a video of the Israeli Prime Minister talking about the evils of Iran. And there's certain things that I really like about that video, especially that they are, the way that the people, members of the Knesset, respond. Like, the Prime Minister's up there giving a speech and they're just shouting at him, right? And all I can think is, why isn't our government like that? Why does our government just sit there and listen? Like, oh, we have good manners. No, we're not like those other governments. Fuck you. Get up and fucking demand some real answers, you fucking panty waist and fucking US Congress. Losers. Let's see, because I mean, anybody who is like a real human being would be outraged by where we're at, right? Can everybody hear me okay? I didn't get a chance for a sound check. Let's see. Can you hear me? Is that okay? Does it sound right? Let's see, because I really need you to respond to me. I don't have Craig here to do like all my sound checks and everything like I usually do, which is nice. I can't thank Craig enough for all the help. That being said, let's see. Again, I have a video of the Israeli president talking about, again, the need to attack Iran, and the Congress, the members of the Knesset responding as if he's a fucking dickhole who needs to sit down and shut the fuck up, which I love. I want to hear this more from our government, you know? Hey, shut up, you fucking idiot, Biden! Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing to hear in the middle of State of the Union address? I mean, liar! Right? Liar, that's fucking stupid. It's like, oh, liar! Right? So, you know, let's get some real fucking shit out here. You're a piece of shit, Biden! You know, let's have some real fucking cojones and say the things that need to be said. And nobody's doing that. Everybody dance, but that's the whole purpose of the U.S. Government, is to talk bullshit. Oh, you know, we're all gonna die from the plague. Oh, everything's fucking great. Oh, you know, we're doing, fuck you all. How come no one's answering me about the fucking microphone? Okay, does the microphone work okay? Can you hear the words coming out of my mouth? Because I don't know when you don't respond to me, right? Let's see. Okay, so I am going to play a video from the Israeli Prime Minister, and I'm going to get a bong hit ready to load up and have a puff with you guys, and I want to just kind of bring it all to the same page so that we all understand about where we're at on this Israel thing. Because, again, I like to play these videos at the beginning so that people don't have to wait, you know, a half an hour to figure out what we're talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to play the one from the Prime Minister. That is clip number 9. I'm going to be right back and we'll have a bong hit because I need that really bad. But I have a couple more videos to move over to this computer before I'm quite ready for this evening. Dragging a little behind. Like I said, I don't have my usual help. Thank you, Craig, for everything you do. And so I am going to be still catching up, but we'll get there. We'll have a bong hit when I get back, and enjoy this video as much as you can. I find it kind of like comedy, but at the same time, it's fucked up. Okay, I'll be right back.
I'll take you back to the Knesset where they're speaking about this attack on the oil tanker.
קריאה שנייה. חבר הכנסת אשר, קריאה ראשונה. בבקשה.
אמנם I did not sleep for 36 hours, but in those 36 hours, we've done what you haven't done in 36 months. We have passed a state budget, and we should be judging the results. 3 years.
די. חבר הכנסת גולן, שבי בבקשה, כנראה שלא שמעת בקשה שלי קריאה.
Member of Parliament Golan, please be seated.
ביקשתי שקט, שני הצדדים.
I've asked for silence. Mr. Prime Minister, I see that there's many lectures from the right. Right is not the hate of the left. Right is the love of the land of Israel, love of the people of Israel. Right is connecting people. A real right. Nobody will lecture me about my love for the state of Israel, for the people of Israel.
די. די. די.
More than this.
חבר הכנסת בן גביר ראשונה. חבר הכנסת קיש ראשונה. די.
The truth is, this is not a matter of right or left, because I'll tell you what I've found out. I serve in reserves with people from the left. I worked in high tech with people from the other side. The left loves the land of Israel and the people of Israel no less than the right. That is the fact. And therefore, the line that we saw here over the past hour, a line that takes a knife and tries forcefully to create the division. This is not the way. This is what broke this country apart. Now, the reason, dear Aryeh, you sat in my home. You're my guest. Let's keep whatever was there to ourselves. What we know, if it was up to you, we were not be passing a budget now, but we were in the process of the fifth elections, because had you have passed the budget, there would be no elections. But you elected not to pass a state budget because the goal wasn't the best thing for the state, but politics. For 3 years, for reasons that are irrelevant. No, not for professional reasons. Israel ran without a budget, without a state budget. You have failed in passing a budget, and we have succeeded. You failed, and we have succeeded. Shame on you. And I must say that this is the budget for the IDF soldiers. This is the budget for young families that are struggling under the cost of living because there were no competition, because you protected the interest groups. This is a budget that will take care of the health system. This is the budget of those Israelis that, because of the neglect, are sitting in terrible traffic that you have created over the years. This is the budget that would allow, we speak about social life. Let's speak about opening up the market and lowering the prices of fruits and veg. This is the right and the social thing to do. Do you prefer processed food for your children? You did not have the courage. We do have the courage.
חבר הכנסת קרעי,
Shame on you. Not passing the budget.
קרעי החוצה.
Shame on you, Mr. Prime Minister. Why did you not put these clauses in the budget?
חבר הכנסת דיסטל, בבקשה. חבר הכנסת כץ, אתה מאלץ אותי להוציא אותך פעם שלישית, בבקשה החוצה. חבר הכנסת כץ, בבקשה.
Why do you put a toll on those who wish to enter Tel Aviv, who need to go to a hospital in Tel Aviv? The prices in restaurants are growing because we are able to create competition. The prices are high because of corruption. You have starved the health system. We will revive the health system.
חבר הכנסת גפני, נאלצתי, צר לי. בבקשה, לך תתרער. תודה, תודה.
Thank you very much. Shame on you.
חברת הכנסת שטרית.
Now to the Olympics.
All right, I'm ready for a bong hit. How is that video still playing in the background?
To the Olympics.
That is so weird. You guys can't hear me at all. How is that video still playing? I don't understand. All right, I'm ready for a bong hit. All right, I'm confused about what's going on here. I apologize. Okay, so where were we? I was about to take a bong hit. How about you guys? And again, I am asking about the audio. I want to make sure that the audio is okay, and because I'm not getting an answer yet. I'm pretty sure it's okay, but it sounded like it's okay. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I really needed that. All right, that was a good one. Let's see. So, I really love the way the parliament there works, right? I love that these guys are being dragged off the floor and they just won't shut up. They keep going, fuck you, you're a fuckhead. You know, not exactly in those words, but you know, if the prime minister of your country is speaking and you're shouting out, interrupting him, I imagine what you're saying is pretty much, fuck, you're a piece of shit fuckhead. It doesn't matter with the words coming out of your mouth. You're interrupting the person who's the highest elected official. I guess he's not elected, I guess, but the highest official in your land, and you're telling him to shut the fuck up, shit, you're a fucking liar, you know, or whatever it is. You might as well saying, fuck off, you piece of shit, because it's basically the same thing. So I really like the way that works. I wish that our government worked more like that, not more like the Israeli government. Don't want to hear it. The Israeli government, I have no love for. I do like how they do that, though. I do like how they argue with the president, because we don't get to see that. You know, if we have someone arguing with the president of our country, you know, it's on two different cameras at two different times. You know, this person will say this, and then, you know, the next day this person will respond. You know, da 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 da. It's worthless. You know, let's hear them go head to head like this. I mean, what? Once every 4 years we get to hear a debate. You know, let's hear them. Let's hear the other side telling, you know, the president of the United States, "Boo! Suck a bag of dicks!" Right? That's just me. I don't know. I would really like to see that. I would feel much more confident about our government. I don't even want to see it one side or the other. Really, I'd like to see both sides standing up and saying, yeah, this is a bunch of shit, you know, help us get this right, stop standing in the way. I'd really like to see something like that. That may be just me. And the telephone number is right there on the screen, 805-669-6397. Gulf of Tonkin was my immediate thought with this so-called Iranian attack on a tanker. That was my first thought also, Patrick. So you know, I just wanted to put that out there, because again, that was my first thought. And not only my first thought, I really thought about making the title something like Israel prepares to attack Iran after Gulf of Tonkin-like episode in Iranian waters or whatever, you know, something like that. I don't think it was in Iranian waters, but you get the point. You know, Gulf of Tonkin. That's what we're looking at here. And Patrick brought it up in the chat, and I'm glad he did, because that reminded me that that's what I was thinking too when I first saw it. Okay, so I have all my videos in place now. I have not checked them to make sure that they're in place, so I'm going to do that real quick. It only takes a second here, and it's a total inside look to Mox News Live, so you know. Let's see, this one.
Out in Miami Beach, Florida, 5 officers. The U.S. general who commanded U.S. troops in officials working to investigate the assassination of President Jovenel.
Okay, and so the reason that I wanted to do that is that you could see at the beginning of those videos, again, this inside look into what I do, you could see at the beginning of those videos is that they played the video that I had in those slots. They started off with that video, the video that was there before them, and that video is not even on the computer, so I don't know how that happens. That being said, I wanted to make sure this is the only way to get it to reel up right, and some of those videos start off speaking fairly quickly, so if there's like 2 seconds lag in the other video getting started or whatever, you can make it so you can miss the first word or two, and that can be a little bit looking at me sideways for no reason, not my bad. Okay, so I want to ask you one other thing about the audio, even though no one's answering me. I would like to know if you can hear the fans running in the background, because last week when we did the last show or something, it's really hot here, and I have the swamp cooler on, and I have a fan blowing into the studio. So if that's really loud in the background, I need someone to tell me that also, even though no one's talked to me about the audio yet. Let's see. A beard ball. What's a beard ball? Let's see. Never mind. I don't give a fuck. Let's see. Okay, so I don't think Israel is going to do anything, because again, Iran is this like standing army, and in order to hit Israel, in order for Israel to hit Iran, it will take casualties, big time. And also, I'd like to point out that this ship attack, supposed tanker attack, 2 people died, and they were not Israeli. And that seems a little bit like, you know, why is Israel all up in arms if no Israelis got fucked with? You know, I mean, what? You know, why isn't Britain talking about attacking Iran? Why, you know, whatever other state it was. I don't know if it was. I can't remember. I can't remember what other country it was that the other sailor who got taken out. I can't remember what country he was from, but the one was from British, I'm pretty sure. And so with the British Prime Minister responding, why isn't he taking the lead position? You know, because supposedly he responded to it. I haven't found that video. In fact, I haven't found a single video about the Iran incident on any other news source than the Israeli news, as far as television broadcasted news sources, which are not the most reliable. But I was glad to see it. I posted a video of it late last night, early this morning, and and I couldn't find any. And all day I kept looking. Okay, late last night, like 1 o'clock in the morning, I posted this video about the tanker in Iran and Israel, and I looked from that point on, 1 a.m., you know, and the only other thing, like looking at the British news, looking at the German news, looking at the Japanese news, nothing but the Olympics, looking at CNN, NBC, Fox, you know, all these channels. And the only place I found anything about Iran and Israel was in the Israeli news. Now, I don't get the Iranian news. I so wish I got the Iranian news. I don't get the Chinese news. I used to get the Chinese news. I wish we got the Chinese news. I love pulling segments out of places like that so you can see, you know, from all points of view. We used to get RT on the cable dial, Russia Today. And I wish we still got that, but all of a sudden, boom, Russia Today is not there anymore because Russia's evil. You know, we got the Chinese news for a while. It was, I'm pretty sure it's called CCTV. And we got the Chinese news for a while, and boom, it's gone, right? I think I might be able to get it. I'll see if I can get it, and maybe I can get you guys to give some kind of a monthly donation so that I can, because I think that I might be able to get it, but I think it's kind of like another package that I have to order in order to get the Chinese news. But I'm sure I won't be able to get the Iranian news, and I'm sure I won't be able to get the Russia Today. So it's just kind of one source, and, you know. But I really like to play it on the show, so if you guys think that's a good idea, let me know. Okay, so anybody tell me about the video, the order, the volume? Nothing. Fan muffles it. Okay, I will turn the fan off momentarily. Okay, and also the telephone number is there. If anybody wants to call, it's 805-669-6397. Now, let's play a video about, we'll have a really disgusting video on police brutality. And it shows like 20 cops beating this guy up, right? And they're beating him up over a unpaid parking ticket. I believe that's what it is, unpaid parking ticket. And they're just kicking the shit out of him, literally. And it's very frustrating to see that this is the America that we live in, but it's so important. Tell me what 20 cops are doing on the scene of a person with an unpaid parking ticket. And it was a scooter, right? I think that's what the story's about. A guy was riding a scooter and he got a parking ticket where he parked the scooter somewhere that he shouldn't have been parked, I guess. Scooters, like a bicycle, right? And then the cops beat the shit out of him. I don't understand what 20 cops are doing there. So, I thought you should see that. I will play it now, because I need to go and shut off the fan and such. Be right back. Wait, are you saying... Wait, Mr. Virtue, were you telling me it was the fan and my... Okay, so somebody else tell me if it's the fan this is messing with the audio. Okay, nobody's talked to me about the audio except for Mr. Virtue. And then now he says it was his fan. So I have the fan on the lowest setting. The air conditioner's in the other room. It shouldn't be all that loud. So tell me. Please, tell me. I know we're a few seconds behind here. And also, please call me. This is a call-in show. I don't even like paying attention to the chat at all. Usually I have, 3 or 4 moderators in here that are taking care of business. So I don't know what happened to that. But come on, tell me about the audio. Tell me. Have you guys watched Nova yet? Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet, motherfucker! Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet, motherfucker! Spoiler alert, I'm sorry. Of course, it's the kitty cat bracelet that always pushes us to the end of our rope, hanging on by a thread, and then the fucking kitty cat bracelet comes along. It's just like, ugh. Have you not seen that movie? Nobody? I recommend it. That's all I'm saying. I recommend it. Of course, I've said much more about it before. Although I haven't done any spoiler alerts like I just did there. Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet, motherfucker! He's so good at doing that. Let's see. I'm going to play the police brutality video now because I need sounds good. Thank you, Patrick. I need to go. I guess I don't need to go fuck with the fan. I can be right here. We can talk forever. I think this thing with Iran, I think that I started to talk about this and then got distracted. I think this thing with Iran isn't going to go anywhere. I mean, Israel might do a couple bombing raids or something, but there's just no way. I mean, what kind of attack is this, right? One little drone drops one little bomb on one big ship, right? What kind of attack is that, right? You could send hundreds of drones out all at the same time, all with the same destination. Go boom, 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 boom. What is this shit about? And they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drones. So it'd be very easy to do that. And the question is, they hit us with a bomb, with one. Is that right? So I don't think it's going to go anywhere because, again, Iran has a real army, has real fucking everything. They're ready to go. And they've been practicing forever to stave off an attack. Hopefully, Israel will decide that they want to bomb a couple places, and Iran will be ready for that and tell them that that was a very, very bad idea and that they should not do it again. Because Israel needs to be smacked down, absolutely deserves to be smacked the fuck down. Get in your fucking place and stop acting like the goddamn ruler of the world, because you're not. Don't make us prove it to you. Where's the president that says that, right? Where is the senator, the congressman, who looks into the fucking camera and says, sit the fuck down, Israel, right? Where is that fucking senator, congressman? What the hell is Israel doing the front man, saber rattling with fucking Iran, okay? They're just throwing a hissy fit because they don't want the rest of the world doing anything with Iran. This is what's happening. So we're clear. They want, because, they're having the United States government is having meetings with the Iranian government. They don't like that. So what's the easiest way? Let's vilify Iran a little more, right? Who benefits? Cui bono. We've talked about this. This is what you have to ask. Who benefits? Does Iran benefit from that little staged incident? Like I said, Iran can send hundreds and hundreds of drones in all at the same time. There would be no ship left. It would be at the bottom of the sea. So, here we are And who benefits? Who benefits from this one missile drone strike hitting this giant tanker in a place where we know it's not going to really do anything except for maybe kill a person? You know, it's not going to take the ship out. It's not going to put a big gaping hole in the ship that allows oil to spill everywhere, or whatever kind of tanker it was. Right? It's just this one shot where, you know, it doesn't seem like that benefits Iran. How does that benefit Iran? This is the question. How does it benefit Israel? How does it benefit any other country that would love to jump on the bandwagon to vilify Iran? Right? Who does this work for? I don't see it working for anybody but the Israelis. And this is common logic. Who benefits? It's a Latin phrase from a long time ago. Who benefits? Cui bono? And that leads you to the culprit 9 times out of 10, right? So I think it's really obvious who benefits in this situation. And that's what I really wanted to talk out. I got distracted on the other one. I was worried, and again, I was worried that the sound wasn't working quite right. So, but apparently it's working okay. I don't know. I'm not very good at reading the chat. That's why I have a telephone number up on the screen. In case you can't read it, it's 805. Is it? 805-669-6397. 805 Mox News. So I'm going to go ahead and play a video for you about police brutality, because I thought it was a very powerful video. Again, I believe this person who 20 cops are beating up on and kicking in the head with their steel-toed shoes. They're kicking this person in the head, knowing there's a good chance it could cause brain damage or fracture his skull. Okay, that's the kind of police we have now. And from what I understand, this is over an unpaid scooter parking ticket. So let me play that video for you now, and then you can explain to me why there's 20 cops hassling a guy over an unpaid parking ticket. If you can see the phone number, and you're not on your phone, so you can't dial. I get it. Okay, so number 7, police brutality in the worst way.
Now in Miami Beach, Florida, 5 officers are charged with battery following an arrest at a hotel in South Beach. The whole thing captured on body cam. Brian Enton joins us live now from Miami Beach. Brian, show us this video.
Yeah, Adrian, you know, the video is disturbing. The state attorney here actually called what happened unfathomable. It all started with a guy in trouble for a parking violation on his scooter. He took off on the run from police, and this is where the video picks up. It's inside the lobby here in the hotel behind me. Police chase him here. He gives up. He gives in. He's handcuffed. He's on the ground of the lobby. And that is when all of these officers basically jump on top of him. And one after another, several officers kick this man in the head. They punch him. They slam his head into the ground, and they basically just take turns kicking him. You mentioned all 5 of those officers now charged with battery. But take a look at this other piece of video from a different body camera. This is where the prosecutor says it went from bad to worse. There's just a bystander standing there shooting this whole thing with his cell phone as it goes down in the lobby of the hotel. Police don't like that he's shooting, apparently, and then they just tackle this innocent bystander. Listen to what the state attorney here said this afternoon.
When we saw that kick to the head, and then we replayed it, and we'd see all the other kicks that preceded it, it was just unfathomable. It was unspeakable. It was just inexcusable.
It's up to you. Sure. So the 5 officers now, Adrian, charged with misdemeanor battery. They all showed up to the police station today for processing, but since it's a misdemeanor, they were not taken to jail.
Brian, did anybody in the community respond yet? We saw that response by government officials, leaders there, city leaders, but anybody, any groups coming to the young man's defense?
Yeah, absolutely. The NAACP was very, very quick to speak out, not happy, obviously, about what they saw. And frankly, a lot of people in this community are not happy to see 5 police officers treating a man like that, all of it starting over a parking violation on a scooter.
You wonder, are the police speaking out yet? Because you wonder what wasn't captured, right? Your mind wants to try to solve this and think of what could have happened, what could have led up to this beyond a scooter parking violation.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always sort of 2 sides to every story, right? What we're hearing from several police sources is that after this initial violation, parking violation happened, and this guy tried to take off on the scooter, he may have sort of softly struck one of the Miami Beach police officers and then kept running. And obviously, when you run from the police, they were very, very amped up. No excuse for what you saw in that video, but that's at least part of the backstory here.
And you're saying that he may have attempted to actually hit an officer?
Unclear if he attempted to, but when he tried to take off from that parking violation, at some point he did strike an officer. There were no serious injuries or anything like that because he was on a scooter. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you just see the violent response from those officers. Thank you so much, Brian, for your reporting from South Beach. Next up, a Washington Post investigation reports that police have shot and killed more than 6,400 people since 2015. The report putting it this way: in the United States, fatal shootings by police are both rare and constant. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, give us a moment. We're going to be breaking that down. While more white people are shot in America each year, the report says police shoot Black Americans at a much higher rate as a share of the population, more than twice the rate, in fact. Nate Jones, a researcher and writer of the report, joins us now. Nate, thank you for joining us. Your report says America is awash in guns. So are these mostly shootings where we're seeing the police respond too quickly to violent crimes?
Well, what we know from going through the data is that most of these police killings are of people that are in possession of guns. The majority are legally justified, but at the same time, that does not mean that they were necessarily. Some were, others we don't know. But the vast majority of them were police shooting armed individuals.
Now, I don't want to compare what we just saw with our reporter, Brian Entin, to your story, because you're talking about actual deaths. But we've seen cases where there is a question about excessive force. But you're bringing up cases where, again, you say it's rare but constant, meaning that you're not finding that police officers are hunting people down and killing them every day. Is that what you're saying? But yet at the same time, we're seeing a consistent death toll from police-involved shootings.
Right. I mean, there are millions of times that police and the public engage every day, and a very small fraction of them, about 1,000 a year, result in police fatalities. So they're rare because the vast majority of public encounters with police are peaceful, but yet every day, just about, there is an officer-involved fatality. And a bit strangely, there's been over 1,000 every single year for the past 6 years since the Post began tracking these.
Do you think that there is a need for presenting data that shows how many times police officers are shot, not only shot and killed, but targeted? Because it seems to be that a lot of people are questioning a rise or seeing a rise in those kinds of cases as well, as if there's this war going on in the streets.
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely the more data, the better. I can speak to the Post data. While we started counting was because there wasn't any data about officer-involved shootings. And we looked, and the FBI started tracking some of this, but it was voluntary what police departments had to give. So we started tracking by looking at news clips, looking at social media, filing state public records address, and that was the only way that we could get a count. Absolutely, it would be good if there was a count for times that officers were shot at by others. the more data is certainly better.
Yeah, and I know, Nate, that you have done a lot of research in terms of keeping accountability at the forefront for the police force and the community they serve. Thank you so much, Nate Jones of The Washington Post. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks.
I went to see if we could get my Boo Bear to join us down by the river, but he is chilling outside. Like I said, it's pretty hot here today for the Seattle area. And I shut off the air conditioner or the swamp cooler because I could hear it really loud downstairs. So I would suppose that you guys could hear it really loud too. So I apologize about that for the first segment of this evening. I will do better, I promise. Okay, so, and we are talking about Israel tonight. The thing is most people don't understand a connection between Israel and U.S. police officers, okay? And the truth is that U.S. police officers, the trainers, the higher up captains or whatever, however the order goes, the higher ups, not the tops, but I imagine they do something too, but the trainers in particular, they go to Israel and train the trainers how to train the other police officers. So this kind of activity right here, I believe, goes straight back to Israel and how they are how they're teaching our police officers to operate. And I don't like, who on earth thinks it's a good idea for a foreign country to be training our security? Because police are supposed to be our security. They're not supposed to be these out of control gangs that can just kick the shit out of someone. I mean, they wanted that guy dead. They wanted that guy in that last video. They wanted him dead. It was clear. And beyond being clear, it's disgusting, And if it's coming straight from Israel, then I don't understand how anyone could want their security being trained by a foreign country. How would you feel if the U.S. military was being trained by the Israeli government, the Israeli Secret Service, which I'm sure many of them are, because that seems to be one of the ways that we bow down. Oh, that was me. Yeah. Yes, please call the phone number. We can talk about Native Americans. I would love to talk about Native Americans, especially if it was someone who knew a lot about Native Americans, because I agree, Native Americans, the discussion about Native Americans is in no way, shape, or form as complete or as as active as it should be. We should all be talking about Native Americans and real reparations for those people, because I know who you call them, those people, because they're the ones that really lost out first. And we can put, let's just say it this way. We'll put reparations all together, right? We'll do African Americans that were brought here as slaves. We'll make reparations for all those people and for all of the Native Americans, all at once. It would be a beautiful, uplifting thing, something that we could all be proud of, I don't know why people would not want that, to do something that's so good for so many people, who have struggled for so long, so many generations. Why wouldn't we want to do that? So instead of spending all of our money making war or giving it to Israel, how about we make it on a payment system and we just take the $40 billion that we're going to give Israel, and then we just, put all these people who we're now going to give $50,000 each, we'll put them on the dole for, I don't know, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever it is. I don't know how far $40 billion goes. But I think that would be a really good way to get Israel's attention. And I don't understand, again, why this voice isn't within our government. Why aren't we hearing this? I see Israel as a very rogue nation. I pretty much see the United States that way too, which is the scariest thing, because if I see it that way, there's a lot of other nations that see it that way. Not a lot of other governments, a lot of other armies. They want to call Iran a rogue nation, right? I don't know how. Iran doesn't attack anyone. Iran's not doing anything to anybody. And they go, oh, look, Iran attacked this tanker. Does that make sense? Does that make sense that Iran would attack a tanker with one drone strike that basically did 0 damage to the tanker? Is that how, would that benefit Iran in some way? Or would Iran take the fucking tanker down? Which again makes no sense, because all you're going to do is create this natural disaster, regardless if it's carrying oil or not. If you take down one of these big ships, it's a pretty bad deal. So, and that's not who Iran is. Iran has been fucking preparing for war, to be ready to defend themselves. That's what they're preparing for. And they're ready. And they won't play that hand before it's time. So that's the reason that they're not, this doesn't benefit Iran in any way. Iran's not looking for war. Iran is looking to be part of the international community. That's what Iran wants. And for whatever reason, Israel, we act like that's an unacceptable idea. And they don't deserve that. They're a great nation. And they deserve as much respect as any other nation. It's a very old civilization. They have so much history there. Do you know what we did to Syria? We bombed the shit out of Syria. It's disgusting. There's so much fucking history, and we just flattened it. We wiped it out. I talk about when the Taliban took down the giant Buddhas. It just broke my heart. I'm not connected to any kind of religion in any way. Even though I call my dog Buddha, I'm not connected to any religion. It's not that. It was this, treasure that had been there for hundreds of years, a piece of human history, and now it's not there anymore. Oh, we can rebuild it. No, you can't. So that's horrible to me. That's like a crime against humanity, right? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. All the crimes, when you're just bombing the shit out of people, when you displace 5 million people, when you murder 1 million people with your tax dollars, that's an atrocity. And it's all based on lies. It's all based on some bullshit that not only did our government make up and then push through the Pentagon and then push through the media, everyone in the media that did not speak out against evidence to go to war in Iraq, everyone needs to go to prison, just like all the politicians. Okay, it doesn't matter also if the politicians spoke out or not. They all have to be made examples of. We can't go, oh, this is one of the good ones. Because, and again, I think Ron Paul would really appreciate that stance. I don't think Rand Paul would appreciate it, but I think Ron Paul would completely understand that all these sons of bitches need to be made examples of. And, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't. Is that my Boo Bear? Is that my Boo Bear? I think my Boo Bear's coming upstairs. I think I think this doesn't benefit Iran in any way. I think to somehow look at it and say, oh, the evidence is clear, is beyond ridiculous, you know. And I despise these motherfuckers, you know, rushing to the microphone to say, this is heinous, this heinous attack by Iran. You know, we need better leadership. I don't understand why we can't get leadership that says, you know, sit the fuck down, Israel, okay? We'll discuss this, like, let the adults in the room discuss it. You know what I'm saying? This is, because everything they say, everything that comes out of their government is like bullshit, right? Just like our government. That's where we're at with our government. It's all theater and complete and utter bullshit. So, and I don't know, actually I do know, all of the politicians, like I said, our police officers, our training police officers, our trainer police officers in particular, go to Israel, and they get trained on how to train all the other police officers. So the trainers go to Israel and then come back. And for me, I have a big problem with that. And so, you know, and what I was leading up to is that I was saying, oh, I don't know if our politicians go to Israel, but I do know they do. They go to Israel, they take some kind of like, you know, somebody goes with them where they go to dinners, they do all these things, and it's explained to them what's expected. And here's your suitcase full of $100 bills. And this is what is expected of you. So, you know, I just want somebody to stand up. You saw how the Israeli government, I don't know if you saw the video at the beginning, of the people in the Israeli parliament. And the new Israeli prime minister was speaking, right? He's like, ja, 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 Iran, ja, 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 Iran. And everybody's like shouting back at him, you know? And I need that kind of government. I need the kind of government that says, no, you're full of shit. And I don't understand why we don't have that kind of government. That's supposed to be the ideal of freedom, right? And this is the problem with the two-party system. It's all theater. They're not there to speak out. They're there to step up to the microphone and go, look, I'm fighting for these people. But they're not. If they were, they'd stand up. And they'd say, you're full of shit, Mr. President Biden, Mr. President Trump, Mr. President Obama. Bush is a motherfucking liar, and all of this is based on lies. And I don't want to be any kind of part to, you know, the slaughter of 1 million innocent Iraqis. You know, where are those people? Where are those statesmen? You know, why don't we have, you know, and why wouldn't you be allowed to do that in the land of the free, where you could speak up and you could say, hey, stop spouting your fucking bullshit, okay? We need the truth. Our people need the truth, okay? Because all we seem to get from our government, from the Israeli government, is bullshit. And the most important question here about the so-called Iranian attack on the tanker is who benefits. You tell me how Iran benefits from this. Because I see no way, shape, or form that Iran benefits. Now, I can play a video about the Iran attack. I'm going to play a video about the Iran attack so that we all know what happened. And I'm going to get a little sip of tea, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is about the Iranian attack on the tanker. I'm sorry, the attack on the tanker, which is being... which Iran is being accused of making happen. So, and why would Iran do that, and how does Iran benefit from that? This is the main question that you have to ask while you're watching this video. Thanks for tuning in.
Tensious waters against the backdrop of Israel's shadow war with Iran, but the alleged Iranian drone strike on the Israeli-managed Mercer Street ship is drawing condemnation from Israel, the UK, the US, and now Romania, with one of two crew members being killed, a Romanian citizen. Well, today, Defence Minister Benny Gantz levelled accusations against Iran while speaking in the Israeli parliament.
The last attack on the Mercer Street tanker, which caused the deaths of two civilians, against international law and human morality, is an increase in Iranian hostility which launches UAVs in order to attack and kill civilians. I would like to send my condolences to Britain and Romania for the murder of their citizens. This is exactly the reason we have to take action against Iran, which is not only developing nuclear weapons, but is also engaging in a dangerous arms race and destabilizing the stability of the Middle East with terror militias that have UAVs in Iran, Yemen, Iraq and other countries.
And joining me here in studio is former COGAT advisor Eitan Dangod. Eitan, thank you so much for coming in. Good evening. Let's talk about this incident and the anger really building. Where can you see all of this going?
I think that we're in a very sensitive junction because the Iranian, according to the attack that at the beginning they, I think, use it and declare even it's a kind of a revenge to Israeli attack in Syria, creates something that will not meet. Israel has a very clear strategic goal by attacking in Syria and in Lebanon, to prevent any kind of arm, Hezbollah, with kind of ammunition and arms that really change the game here. On the other hand, what Iran did today is to target a ship very close to Iranian area and make it in a very sensitive way and a message to the world that is in the main junctions of the naval arena that now can impact and influence the economic transportation, not even to Israel, of course, all over the world.
Yep.
The Iranian even invite inside a reaction by fire. And I think they didn't know now how to move out, because now you hear some statements by Iranian officials that are denied and said, but on the other hand, I think Iran now in a position that has a lot to lose. Israel, I think, made a clever step by using the legitimation of the Western world and the Gulf countries, because it's not a private business of Israel. Maybe it's a step to show to the world that the nuclear issues, even not only Israel business. And according to it, I see that today Israel will say it's enough the step we are doing in the legitimation and the steps that are carried now by the UK or by the United States or by Romania and other countries. On the other hand, the reaction of Israel towards a revenge will be, but in my opinion, the timing is not decided yet, and how to do it, I hope it will be in a low level.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Taking, into account you used to be a former military secretary, Israel does want, is asking for the green light for some sort of retaliation. What can we expect it to look like?
I think that any kind of a crash in the naval arena is not using any side. And I think that, first of all, that all the Western world that moving the ships from side to side, the world that is based on the Gulf countries itself, will have a lot to lose. So it's a big interest to reduce violence in this arena. And I believe that the umbrella of the United States will not give the Iranian the authorities or the opportunities to react as the sheriff of such a very sensitive arena. So it creates now another kind of a problem to the world besides the nuclear issues and besides what is going by the ground step from Iran, Baghdad, Damascus to Beirut today. We have another arena which is very sensitive and under a lot of interest to the main countries in the world to prevent any kind, because it will impact immediately the economy situation all over.
And you did mention, Eitan, the ongoing nuclear talks there, the US, pushing for more dialogue. How can we expect all of this to sort of shake things up there and change this?
I think, in my opinion, first of all, you also have to remember that Iranian new president, which is very close to Khamenei, is coming in a few days. Secondly, I still look at the United States that their main goals policy in the world is to close now the issue of the nuclear. They are looking how to do it because they put already other kind of priorities for the United States policy all over the world. So in my opinion, the United States will try not to shake dramatically the discussions of the nuclear issues.
Yeah, well, it's certainly going to be very, very interesting to see where all of this goes and, you know, what happens in the future under Ibrahim Raisi. Eitan Dangot, thank you so very much.
Thank you and good night.
So, that woman, Sarah Coates, I don't think I've ever been around, well, that's not true. Craig watches some show with these crazy twins who have like all this cosmetic surgery, right? But I literally can't remember seeing somebody in in the news who appeared to have so much facial work. Now, she might have had an accident, or maybe she just has a weird looking face. But she has a weird looking face, man. Hello, caller.
Hello.
What's happening?
Hey, Iran has at least 500 nuclear weapons, Mike.
I don't give a fuck. I'm glad they do.
Hundreds of ships in the Mediterranean just in the last week. They're a bunch of savages. Israel, and they attacked Iraq 20 years ago, 25 years ago. They have spies all over the United States. They're the biggest enemy of the United States is Iran. Iran, Iran so far away. So, yeah, man, they're deadly and dangerous. They're worse than those sharks. I mean, basically, you've got all the swimmers in the water I'm watching. They're the countries, and the sharks is Iran, and they're just about to get us. And we got to shoot into the water, make sure they don't blow up our American cities with their nuclear weapons. They're out of control, Mike. They're out of control. I'm going to take a drink off my smoothie.
You gotta stop your fucking gibberish right in the middle of my bong hit.
Oh, sorry, man. I'll keep going. They sunk the USS Liberty. Iran sunk the USS Liberty. They made it look like Israel. They're trying to take over the whole world. They're in league with both China and Russia. Donald Trump was on their side.
Man, you know what? I really wish that we were in league with China and Russia. That seems like a really good thing. You know, they got this bullshit about, oh, we got to have the Space Force because the next invaders are going to come from outer space, right? Well, maybe then we should be teaming up with China and Russia so that we can make sure that the whole planet is prepared for such a thing. Don't you think?
Yeah, well, out of the three major world powers, China, Russia, and the United States, I would say, as far as I know, Russia has its shit together the best. They're the least harmful and the most easy to get along with. The United States is an imperial empire, and China isn't much better. They've upped the they've taken 1 billion people out of poverty, which is a good thing, but of course they don't have free speech, and you have to wear a uniform and toe the party line and never talk about China. First rule of China Club is you never talk about China Club. First rule of America
That seems
Club,
to be, yeah, go ahead. Finish it.
you never talk about America Club.
No, that's not it. That's not it. First rule of America Club is you never talk about Israel.
Oh, yeah. The second rule of America Club is you never talk about America Club. But, I don't know, man. It's, I don't think it's going to fly. I don't think Iran had anything to do with whatever the hell happened to that ship.
Makes no sense whatsoever for Iran to have anything to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, they're a Shia country.
They just don't benefit in any way by hitting that ship. All it does is vilify Iran. Who does that benefit? That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I think it's even against their religion to engage in mass destruction like nuclear weapons and stuff like that. You don't do that. You're supposed to protect the innocent. You only kill the aggressors. So anybody who blows a bomb up on a foreign city is obviously engaging in mass genocide. Let's see, who's done that? Let me rack my brain. Who the hell has done that in the past? That would be us. That would be the U.S. Us. We've done that. So no other country has done that.
I think the U.S. comes across as a rogue nation, honestly.
Yeah, well, they're it's like the Empire in Star Wars. The Emperor was originally Senator Kevorkian or something like that. I can't remember the guy's name, but that's where we're at. We're in the Empire. I think I can't quite figure out who Darth Vader is in our Empire. I suppose it would be Trump, sort of, but not really, and there's no Luke Skywalker coming down from the sky, riding a jet ski, smoking dope with a bomb.
Look, I think there's a bunch of Luke Skywalkers out there that are going to somehow bring our people together, because that's the only hope that we have. Everything else leads to destruction of the entire species, so we're clear. The only way we work this out is with everybody else. Otherwise, we're goners.
Yeah, there's enough destruction going on. I'm not in favor of it. I walk my talk. I don't.
I'm just saying. Look at you. I don't paint things as there's no heroes left. Okay, they're out there. They're trying to bring people together. They're trying to recognize the common enemy. It's really not that difficult. It's just a matter of getting the right people headed that direction. The people with the loudest microphone, I don't understand. Well, I do. I mean, why isn't there a politician out there that says we have to move beyond all this left-right crap and come together as a nation? Because I don't hear that happening.
No, you're not going to get it. Not from the Mod Squad, not from Bernie. They got their demon, Donald S. Trump, or whatever his name is, and they're going to demonize him for the next 3 years and try to invent all kinds of stuff and blame everything on him while they ignore reality and they ignore the needs of the population. Look at the eviction thing that is supposedly went through today. I'm sure lots of landlords filed their eviction notices finally, and you're supposed to create at least another 1 million more homeless people. I'm sure that'll be a story coming up later in the week, but it seems like we don't care about each other. So, and definitely the government doesn't care about us. So we got to start caring for each other. And there's plenty of heroes, plenty of Luke Skywalkers around. But,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can't, because there's what I see is everywhere there's negativity. And it's really difficult to get around unless you really want to, unless you can recognize the fact that it's all around you. And then you can weave your own path through it and keep a smile on your face and a positive attitude. Not there's no heroes left in the world, and because I can't, it's easier, number one, if you have a smile on your face. This path is not going to be an easy thing, but if you have a smile on your face, it's going to seem much easier. So I work on that every day. Well, I don't really have to work on it. I know what it takes to put a smile on my face. I'm pretty good at it. Speaking of which, I went to the ocean this weekend, and it was awesome. My Boo Bear got to play in the waves.
How far is that from you?
It was about a 2.5 hour drive.
No shit. I thought you were fucking like 20 minutes away.
We're on the Puget Sound. I don't consider that the ocean. The ocean is about 2 hours. It's about, I think we took pretty much the closest route to get to a beach. So it's about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, my closest beach is 20 minutes away, and on the way to the beach, I see about 100 RVs and campers and cars of homeless people piled up on the parked on the county roads where it's still legal to park, and I expect that to double within the next year. Not so long ago,
everybody says it's going to double within the next month, from what I hear.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I hope it doesn't. The worst case scenario would be you get 1 million new homeless, and then you penalize homelessness, make it a crime to be homeless. It's like,
well,
you can't win for losing, you know.
Joe Biden would never punish the downtrodden. We know that.
Yeah, well, it's because he went to nobility school, and he's such a noble and he's a noble intellectual. I don't mind his little rants and his poopy pants walk and you're a dog-faced bunny soldier and all that stuff. I mean, he really has the heart of a Catholic. That's it, right there. The heart of a Catholic.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's best to just mock the politicians and keep an open heart for the suffering masses.
Well, I think it's more than just mocking, though. What I say is, like, where is this person? Why don't we have this person who speaks out, tells the truth? Why is everyone, you would think, okay, we got 99.9% of the cunts in Congress all are bought and paid for. But there's this one person, and you know what? That person says the truth. That not just says the truth, speaks out against evil, because there's just way too much evil going on in our government. And why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they make themselves a superstar by speaking out about the evil shit going on in our own government when, instead they're just fucking sucking dick,
We had a superstar. We had Bernie Sanders. He said all the right words. Then he backed out and backed the evil, wicked witch of the West. When it came down to...
But see, that's what I'm saying, is that he really wasn't that, because otherwise he would be able to speak out. He would have spoke out against Hillary Clinton the whole campaign. He would have spoke out against Hillary Clinton way before she became, whatever. He was always there on her side, so he didn't always say the right thing. This is what I'm saying, is that it's not a matter of, it's not possible to say the right thing. There is no right thing. There's like standing up and trying to do the right thing. Saying the right thing is a scripted deal where, it means that, never mind. It's, my brain doesn't work right now.
Well, I gotta, of course, I don't think that what happened on January 6th was an actual insurrection. I think there was some violence, but I think there was a movement of the people in protest of what seemed at the time an obvious stolen election, and I still 80% of me still believes it was stolen. I'm still waiting, they still got stuff going on in Arizona and other states, whether or not it makes it to court or not. I would like to see it proven as a stolen election, but I don't think we're ever going to see that. I think everybody's just kind of throwing all that evidence in the garbage, and Rudy Giuliani's on his way to jail, and all
Rudy Giuliani belongs in jail. I mean, we all know that.
Yeah, America's favorite mayor.
Yeah.
But, it's a corrupt world. But, so what's the antithesis of that? Is to keep yourself straight up. Keep yourself honorable and brave and proud and speak out.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. That was, I love that line from the Holy Grail. I think that's my favorite part. You know, it's like
first they throw a chicken over the wall,
yeah.
they throw a cow over the wall. It's so funny. Yeah, that's what we need. We need about 40 Monty Python crews just going around mocking everything corrupt. You know, where's Jon Stewart when you need him?
I heard he's gonna do something, but I don't know. You know, I agree. I think that we needed him really bad when he stepped away, but who knows where his head was at when he did it. I mean, it's a crazy world, and dealing with this news shit day in, day out. You know, I myself, I'm like, I on the weekends, I like try and look at the news because I want to make sure that nothing's happening, you know, but I'm just like, I don't want to look at the news. It's so hard.
Yeah. You know, like I said before, I got 200 YouTube channels, and I barely click on anything because you can tell by the headline and who's putting it out what the story or the fake story is. So
are a lot of people talking about the Iran thing?
No, just the mainstream.
Mm.
No,
I didn't see it in the mainstream.
Well, you just played a clip from I-24.
Yeah, that's not, I wouldn't consider that mainstream, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's the only place I could find anything. When you say mainstream, I think of CNN, NBC, Fox News, CBS, you know, all that shit.
Yeah, the I-24 is Israeli mainstream. They're not really American mainstream. Basically, if you know.
Well, you said you have 200 feeds. Did you see any kind of discussion going on anywhere else about this subject?
I might have seen one thing. I can't tell you what channel it was on. Nobody's taking it seriously.
Yeah.
The Israelis just try to blow up everything and play the victim on everything, and that's their tactic, and we're all familiar with that. And I don't think anybody is taking it seriously as a story. I don't even know what happened to the damn boat. You know, as far as I know, they hit a fucking iceberg. I mean, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But it's the second boat I know of that they've accused Iran of attacking. The other one was about 4 months ago. And who cares? I mean, if you look at, I just got home, man, and I got myself a smoothie, and I caught your clip that you just played from I-24. And if you notice the guy talking, he's talking about, well, Israel has to concentrate on Lebanon, and we have to concentrate on Iraq, and Iran is in Lebanon, and in Syria, and in Iraq. And it's like, dude, they're your neighbors, you know, and you're the bad neighbor, okay? Israel is the bad neighbor on the block, not Iran, not Iraq, not Syria, not Lebanon, not Jordan, not Egypt so much, even though Egypt's pretty fucked up.
You know, they are all fucked up in their own ways. But like you're saying, you know, there's no reason. You're saying that they're saying Iran is in all these countries, and I think what the problem is that Israel wishes that they were in all these countries. Obviously, so you know, anybody who's working with their neighbors is an evildoer. So
if Israel could make a deal with Iran, they would have done it by now. But they can't. They got the United Arab Emirates and they got Saudi Arabia about a year and a half ago to sign some kind of agreement, mostly an economic and non-aggression agreement. And that was historic, and that was Trump's Abraham Accords, right? We made peace in the Middle East. Listen, UAE was not attacking Israel. Saudi Arabia was not attacking Israel. There was no peace to be had between countries that weren't warring with each other. So that's a bullshit thing, Donald Trump. You didn't make any peace in the Middle East. As a matter of fact, you made it worse by declaring Jerusalem the eternal capital of our sacred nation of Israel. God gave us the land. It's like, no, Donald Trump, you're not a geopolitician. You can barely fucking read a teleprompter. You didn't make any peace. So if Iran wanted peace with Israel, Israel would jump at the got the chance.
What makes you think that?
Because Israel wants to survive and exist. And
No. What Israel wants most is to have a looming enemy, that they have to fucking defend themselves from. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The Palestinians, they have to defend themselves from the fucking Palestinians, and you know how evil they are. So they need this. That way they can, because I don't see their thing is to make peace in the Middle East. I don't know where that comes from.
Well, go 50 years in the past. 50 years in the past, Egypt was a mortal enemy of Israel. So was Jordan, so was Syria, so was Lebanon.
Was that rightfully so, or was it, this whole propaganda thing that we have this horrible enemy looming over us?
Well, they were enemies because the whole Zionist state was fairly new, 50 years ago. It's only 75 years old. Most people's grandmas are older than Israel. So, and it took lots of decades for people to get used to, that Israeli guy is on the block still. 75 years later. It's like, so Saudi Arabia figures Israel's not going anywhere. We'll make an economic pact. United Arab Emirates, we'll make an economic pact. Iran is the holdout. They're saying, no, we don't like the Zionist entity. They need to give the Palestinians their land back, and we support the Palestinian cause. And they're the holdout. And there's lots of other holdouts, especially in North Africa, which is kind of unconnected and far away from the Levant, but a lot of countries in North Africa are staunch supporters of Palestine. Algeria, other countries. So not everybody is capitulating to the Zionist, land
grab. But I mean, it's like with the United States, right? We have to have these looming enemies. Oh, China, Russia. They're fucking with our country, right? We have to have that for whatever reason that's completely idiotic and does nothing but hurt our own people. We have to act because it's a psychological operation on our own people. Russia. So
I agree.
So why is it? I mean, if Israel makes a deal with Iran, then is everybody going to go, oh, we have to get to the bomb shelters? They're sending fire.
No, we just invent another enemy.
Like who?
We subverted this enemy. We made peace with this enemy.
Which enemy?
Another enemy. Somalia. Iran is our friend. Somalia is our enemy. You just invent another enemy, another Al Qaeda, another ISIS. It's the Druids. The Druids are coming.
But if it's not in their general vicinity, I mean, right now, people think Iran is basically Israel's neighbor. So. And there's this big looming threat over them. And again, who does that benefit? I don't see how a deal. I guess I see how a deal with Iran would benefit Israel, but then I see that there's this whole military-industrial complex, and Iran is like testing ground for new fucking shit. And I don't know. I don't think they want peace. I think they want an enemy, because I believe that if they wanted peace, they'd stop hounding Iran, because nobody wants to be friends with a bully. I don't want to be friends with a bully.
Israel and Iran have backdoor channels of communicating, and Iran is a very staunch opponent of Israel because they won't back down. And they have military might, and it was Iran backing up Syria that prevented Syria from being overtaken. Israel would have overtaken Lebanon by now, except for Iran supports Lebanon also. So, they tried to get to Iran through Syria, and it didn't work. It took them almost 10 years of warfare to figure out that we can't get Syria. We tried, we invented ISIS. We gave ISIS 1,000 Toyota trucks and missiles, and still didn't work, and it's still a clusterfuck. I mean, just the humanity, the human cost alone. All of those immigrants and refugees going from all those war-torn countries, 20 years of war, over into Europe. Imagine if the United States was just across a narrow sea from Europe. They would have come here, and we would have maybe stopped the goddamn wars if we were the recipients of all those immigrants and refugees, you know, who I feel sorry for. I feel sorry for the French, the English, the Netherlands, Sweden, all the Italy, Greece. I feel sorry for all those countries because I think every nation should have sovereign borders, right, and a good humanitarian policy to boot. But we didn't experience that migration of people. Europe did. But we caused it. And it's our American imperialism that caused it. We're fucking up the whole planet. And thank God for Russia, and thank God for Iran. And, you know, I don't know the solution. I would like to say fuck Israel, but I don't know if that's the solution. The solution is honesty and peace and strength, you know. But without honesty, you ain't getting shit.
Right. I don't see honesty or what was it? Honesty and what and strength?
Peace and strength.
Yeah, I don't see any desire there for peace, for honesty out of the Israeli government at all. Okay? What I see is bloodthirsty motherfuckers who kill on a daily basis. Prejudice, because of their fucking prejudice, because they're bigots.
You know, if I had a choice of living in Iran or Israel, I would choose Iran, despite the fact that it's a religiously run country. You know, it has a lot of, there is some oppression in Iran, and you're not allowed to criticize the government too much in Iran. But I would rather, Iran has a peaceful population, and I would rather live amongst peaceful Iranians than these violent Zionists that think that the world owes them everything and they have the right to take anything they want. And so that's the conflict between Iran and the Zionists. Is the Zionists, I mean, the Iranians are saying, you Zionists don't have the right to take all this shit. We're saying no to you. And that's the basic root of the problem, is that Iran won't say yes. If they said yes, they could sign a peace deal with Israel tomorrow. But they're not saying yes. There's holdouts in this Middle Eastern conquest. It's a conquest.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see some kind of documentation on that, because all I see is hate coming from Israel and the Israeli government and general population. So I don't see how, after vilifying Iran for decades, all of a sudden what they really want is peace. That doesn't make any sense to me.
By saying no, they're saying no. You know, we're going to stand up to you, Israel, and they've done it. They've done it in Syria. They help Lebanon a lot. Jordan doesn't need any help. I mean, it's a very complex little chessboard there in the Middle East, and everybody, I wouldn't say everybody's out for themselves, but you know, you got several sides, and when you've got the United States sticking their hands in everybody's intelligence service, you know, it's like, dude, how are you ever going to sort this mess out without saying no to the Zionists? You can't do it without, you know, they talk, even when they talk a two-state solution, how are you going to do that? You got Israeli settlers all over the place. You got to kick them out and then what? Create a second state? I don't think so. So it's a mess. And thank God for Iran saying no, no, no. And they don't call it Israel. They call it the Zionist entity. They don't even call it Israel. It's a Zionist entity. And I think that's the correct terminology.
Yeah, well, look, it's Israel. Everybody recognizes Israel. So I understand where they're coming from 110%. I will continue to call it Israel because I'm not doing them any favors by calling it Israel. And by And by using some derogatory term, somebody's going to think, oh, that person's anti-Semitic. Of course, what I say about Israel are going to think the same thing. Anyways, if that's their way their mind works, I'm not anti-Semitic. I really just don't give a fuck what religion you are. It could not matter to me less what religion you are. You have no idea. I don't understand why people don't get that.
Yeah, well, the weird thing about Zionism is it's not a religious movement. It's a political movement.
I agree. There's tons of Zionists in this country.
Yeah, and they stick together, man. Even the Christian Zionists will back up the Jewish Zionists.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Joe Biden identifies as a Zionist, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He said straight out he's a Zionist.
Yeah. So.
And he's also the reincarnation of Satan. So there you go.
Satan.
Yeah. So I'm just chilling. What time is it? 8:32. It's pretty hot down here. Picked up a side job. I guess I'll do that. And, how you doing up there?
I'm ready for a cup of tea.
Okay, well, you go put a video on, and I'll go talk to my honey.
Did you see the video of the police in Miami?
No, I didn't. I just got home.
All right. I'm going to post some more of that video later, so if you want to see it.
What happened in Miami?
20 cops kicked the shit out of this guy for...
with they slapped that little kid?
No, not a little kid.
Oh.
It shows them this guy on the ground, and they keep fucking kicking him in the head with their goddamn steel-toe boots, man. And there's 20 cops, and each one takes their own fucking tap at it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure there's good reason for that, Mike. He must have been spouting anti-blue zone rhetoric or something like that, or maybe he...
All right, well, I'll play it for you now, and you can check it out, and I'll be right back, everybody. I need to go get a cup of tea. Thanks for calling.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Talk to you later. Okay, so, again, I'm going to play the police brutality video again, because I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to go get my tea, and I'll be right back. But I think it's just worthy of looking at. I'm going to post some other clips later on when we get done with the live show. It's worth, and it all comes back to this Israel thing, because all of our police trainers are sent over to Israel to be trained by them on how to train our local police officers. And I find that demented. I don't want foreign countries teaching our police, our local police, how our neighbors are supposed to be policed. I don't, especially not Israel. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to play the police brutality one real quick, and as I said, it ties right back to Israel. And I think that's important information to have when you're looking at something like this. I'll be right back.
Now in Miami Beach, Florida, 5 officers are charged with battery following an arrest at a hotel in South Beach. The whole thing captured on body cam. Brian Enton joins us live now from Miami Beach. Brian, show us this video.
Yeah, Adrian, the video is disturbing. The state attorney here actually called what happened unfathomable. It all started with a guy in trouble for a parking violation on his scooter. He took off on the run from police, and this is where the video picks up. It's inside the lobby here in the hotel behind me. Police chase him here. He gives up. He gives in. He's handcuffed. He's on the ground of the lobby. And that is when all of these officers basically jump on top of him. And one after another, several officers kick this man in the head. They punch him. They slam his head into the ground, and they basically just take turns kicking him. You mentioned all 5 of those officers now charged with battery. But take a look at this other piece of video from a different body camera. This is where the prosecutor says it went from bad to worse. There's just a bystander standing there shooting this whole thing with his cell phone as it goes down in the lobby of the hotel. Police don't like that he's shooting, apparently, and then they just tackle this innocent bystander. Listen to what the state attorney here said this afternoon.
When we saw that kick to the head, and then we replayed it, and we'd see all the other kicks that preceded it, it was just unfathomable. It was unspeakable. It was just inexcusable.
It's up to you. Sure. So the 5 officers now, Adrian, charged with misdemeanor battery. They all showed up to the police station today for processing, but since it's a misdemeanor, they were not taken to jail.
Brian, did anybody in the community respond yet? We saw that response by government officials, leaders there, city leaders, but anybody, any groups coming to the young man's defense?
Yeah, absolutely. The NAACP was very, very quick to speak out, not happy, obviously, about what they saw. And frankly, a lot of people in this community are not happy to see 5 police officers treating a man like that, all of it starting over a parking violation on a scooter.
You wonder, are the police speaking out yet? Because you wonder what wasn't captured, right? Your mind wants to try to solve this and think of what could have happened, what could have led up to this beyond a scooter parking violation.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always sort of 2 sides to every story, right? What we're hearing from several police sources is that after this initial parking violation happened, and this guy tried to take off on the scooter, he may have sort of softly struck one of the Miami Beach police officers and then kept running. And obviously, when you run from the police, they were very, very amped up. No excuse for what you saw in that video, but that's at least part of the backstory here.
And you're saying that he may have attempted to actually hit an officer?
Unclear if he attempted to, but when he tried to take off from that parking violation, at some point he did strike an officer. There were no serious injuries or anything like that because he was on a scooter. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you just see the violent response from those officers. Thank you so much, Brian, for your reporting from South Beach. Next up, a Washington Post investigation reports that police have shot and killed more than 6,400 people since 2015.
I thought that was worthy of looking at one more time. It like I said, it ties right back to Israel, and that our police trainers, the people who train our police, they go to Israel. You know, they're part of the local police. They're the police trainers. They fly to Israel to learn how to train our local police. And then they come back and they train our local police in the way of all these Israeli tactics. And that's what we get for it right there. I think it's a clear example. I guarantee you that whoever trained the majority of those cops were, and it looked like those cops weren't just, squad car, grunts driving around. It looked like they all, had been doing this for years. They weren't newbies. So, like I'm saying, the people that trained them were trained by Israel. I will bet you money. I had the numbers right there on the screen. I know the phone is working because landlord called. If you want to call, the number is 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News. And I think the most important thing here when we have a situation like this is the simple rule of who does this benefit, right? When you have a tanker being hit by one missile and it not really, taking out the tanker, make a big old leak in the ship, the ship is going down, nothing like that. A couple of people died, apparently, as we're told, as far as you know. So that's unfortunate. At the same time, I don't see how this benefits Iran in any way, right? Now, the people who want to vilify Iran as the most evil on the planet, it seems like would benefit very much from something like this, doesn't it? This is what you have to ask yourself. Who benefits? Okay? Because I don't see how Iran benefits. Any logical person would go, how does Iran benefit by this at all? It may just be the way my brain works. It's really weird. But I would recommend that you ask yourself that one question. Who benefits? Cui bono. In all these situations. Now, I have a video about the Afghan pullout And I have a video about Haiti, the assassination of the president of Haiti. Both of them look to be very, propagandist leaning. But I thought that I will share those with you momentarily. Again, this is a call-in show. I really enjoy talking with you. And whoever called earlier when I was making my cup of tea, Craig's not here, so generally you can call when I'm away from the camera, but I'm not going to run off in the middle of making my tea and then have to run back to the kitchen and then have to run back because the clip's almost over. I'm on a very tight schedule here. I run a very tight ship. All right, so I have a couple more clips of the police brutality. I'll post those for you after this show. Since we don't have any callers, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Afghan pullout video, because this is this thing where, we're going to see the situation getting more and more desperate, more and more desperate for all these people. And you have to ask yourself, who made it that way, right? Because it's not that way because the United States wasn't there to start with. It's that way because the United States went there as an invading force and then refused to leave for 20 years. And their army just got stronger and stronger because, oh, there's a stockpile of weapons over there. I wonder how that got there. How did they get those weapons? We know how it works. So there's 16,000 contractors that are going to be staying, 16,000 plus, that are going to be staying in Afghanistan, U.S. contractors. So that means, that the U.S. really isn't pulling out because we got all those people in there. And then, I don't know, I find it all of it just looks so propagandist, everything. This is why I'm having trouble watching the news at all anymore. The propaganda is over the top. It's all one-sided. It's all like, oh, here, take this piece of news and take that piece of news. I'm having a real problem with it. But I still make sure I know what's happening. And that if I find something actually important, I will do my best to share it with you, as I have for over a decade. All right, I'm going to play the Afghans pullout video. I'll be right back.
The U.S. general who commanded U.S. troops in Afghanistan and led the successful Iraq surge says America has abandoned Afghanistan. General David Petraeus telling the UK Times the rest of the world will see we are not supporting democracy or maintaining the values we promote around the world. He warned the country could see a brutal civil war similar to when the Taliban took control in the 1990s. Meantime, the New York Times reporting hundreds of thousands of Afghanis are fleeing the country, fearing another Taliban takeover and all that could come with it. Retired Brigadier Army General Anthony Tata served in Afghanistan and the Pentagon. He joins us now. First of all, thank you, General, for being with us. Afghanistan's president now blaming the Taliban surge on the U.S. withdrawal, calling that pullout sudden. Was this sudden or unexpected?
Well, Adrian, thanks. Great to be with you. I don't know that 20 years would equate to sudden, and I'm not sure I agree with David Petraeus's assessment that we're abandoning Afghanistan. We gave it 20 years. We gave it thousands of lives, and I think we did our very best to really rebuild the Afghan military, the Afghan police, and their political capacity. We worked very hard at making sure that they could defend themselves. And at the end of the day, Afghanistan is somewhat of a synthetic country. They have lots of valleys and peaks, and they have lots of Hatfields and McCoys, and it's hard to pull them together from the northeast, the very mountainous region, to the southwest, the very desert area, and everything in between. And it's just a tough nut to crack. And we didn't invade Afghanistan, so all the comparisons to Russia coming in there and all of that are false comparisons. We came in to get rid of the Taliban, which or the Al Qaeda, and to defeat the Taliban And at the end of the day, Bush, Cheney, Wolfowitz, Pearl, Feith, all of those people blew it. And we had the chance to kind of lance that boil and destroy, not defeat, Taliban and Al-Qaeda, but they were too focused on Iraq. And it took us 10 years to get bin Laden. And it was, Rumsfeld and Cheney and all of those clowns that, took their eye off the ball and wanted to go into Iraq. And so we were left with what we were left with. And 20 years later, we've had a lot of generals, a lot of privates, and everything in between do their level best. And it was time to get out of there.
Well, you have some strong words for some of those officials, absolutely. But I do want to go back to what you said about former CIA Director Petraeus's comments, because he's been warning for a long time that a troop withdrawal would by no means stop the endless war in Afghanistan. But again, this terror, this Taliban terror, do you think that there's a chance of destroying essentially the Taliban?
No, the Taliban, when we didn't go after the sanctuary in Pakistan, we sowed the seeds for continuous war, which I'm not sure what Cheney and Bush and Rumsfeld and all of them were seeking, but they got what was obvious to those of us that were serving in the 18th Airborne Corps at the time. I was a brigade commander in the 101st Airborne, expecting to go to Afghanistan, and got told in January 2002 I was diverted from the force flow to Afghanistan to go to Iraq. And I'm like, what's in Iraq? And there was nothing that we should have been going after in Iraq. And so the whole head fake was really laid the foundry for what's happening today. And I don't care if we spent 5 more minutes, 5 more days, 5 more months, 5 more years, 5 more decades in Afghanistan, the result would not be any different. They would wait us out. They have sanctuary in Pakistan, and they can do whatever they wish to do. And we gave it our best effort to help the forces in Afghanistan and the government defend themselves. And we'll see what happens.
Let's see what happens, too, with the other surrounding countries. We want to bring up Iran, the U.S. promising action against the country after a drone attack on a freighter that killed 2 crew members. Here's what Secretary of State Antony Blinken said.
Iran continues to act with tremendous irresponsibility. We are in very close contact and coordination with the United Kingdom, Israel, Romania, and other countries, and there will be a collective response.
General, what do you make of this? I mean, what can the U.S. and allies do? Afghanistan obviously has an effect on the surrounding countries in that very turbulent Middle Eastern region, especially as the U.S. is actually lifting sanctions.
Yeah, so, Adrian, I'm not sure that our action in Afghanistan has much material effect in Iran. It's, the border there is in the irrelevant part of Iran, really. But, the actions that this administration is taking toward Iran, lifting the sanctions, moving toward the JCPOA, trying to get the Iran nuclear deal back in place are totally irresponsible. President Trump was right on the money to cancel that deal that didn't force Iran to stop their exporting of terror. They are the major destabilizing force in the Middle East. They have Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthi rebels, and the Shia militias all throughout Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen to take on Western interests in that region. And so this administration is really lost. You could tell with Blinken, he doesn't really believe what he says there. He's struggling to say anything negative about Iran. And they talk out of both sides of their mouth. Blinken says that, but privately, he and Kerry and others are meeting with Iran, trying to get back to the nuclear deal. It's really a duplicitous policy, and it's really bad for the United States. And what's worse is the mainstream media is just putting wind behind their sails, not investigating anything, not curious about what this administration's policies are, and it really has a negative effect on the United States and our foreign policy and our future.
Well, our future is definitely in focus now because this is going to change everything. We just don't know how at this time. Retired Brigadier Army General Anthony Tata, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Adrian.
And that leads back to Iran again. It's all this military-industrial complex. I always believed that part of the reason we went to Afghanistan was because the U.S. government, the politicians, the White House, the Pentagon, they wanted our troops on either side of Iran. They want it on the Afghanistan side, and they want it on the Iraq side. And that's why this whole pullout thing and this leads back to Iran. It's all doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't really work in my head, but my head's just not quite right today. I apologize about that. I don't know why. It may be that yesterday we went to the ocean and I have ocean brain because it was a very nice day. Actually, it was really overcast, and can you see I got a bunch of sun. It was really overcast, and Craig shot some drone video, but me and the dogs were walking around and they looked so happy. It was, oh right, we're walking on the beach, and I'm walking and I go, I just stepped on something very strange. You know, and it wasn't so much because I stepped on something squishy or whatever. It was because I felt like a tingle in my foot, right? And then I kept walking, and it felt like my foot started going numb in this one spot, right? And I look around me on the beach, and there's like 1 million jellyfish everywhere. Most of them are about that big, you know, little bigger, like twice the size of a silver dollar. But there's a couple pretty big ones. And it just is, I don't know, man. I understand that's part of the over warming kind of thing. It's like jellyfish are kind of like an epidemic right now. I haven't been to the ocean in a really long time, so it's not surprising to me that there would be jellyfish. I grew up on the beach. Very proud to say I grew up on the beach. So it's not like jellyfish are an unusual thing. But I don't remember, you know, millions. I mean, there was just like, you couldn't walk. I mean, there's like these little spots where maybe you could put your feet and not step on one. But how hard is that to do, step after step after step? It was horrible. And the dogs are out running in the water. I'm like, oh, I got to get down to the water. It wasn't horrible. It was actually lovely. But, you know, all the jellyfish freaks me out a little bit. Even though I grew up on the beach, knowing that there's all those jellyfish in the water, right, makes me not want to have the dogs in the water. And makes me not want to get in the water, which I got in the water anyways, because you're not going to keep me out of the water. Like I said, I grew up on the beach, and then I moved to Maui. So I loved the ocean so much. I was so glad to be there around the ocean, on the beach, and share that time with the dogs. It's really, I couldn't ask for something more. Like, I don't want to say a perfect day, but it was a good day, and I wouldn't ask for more because that would seem greedy. And that's not how I am. All right, so we're almost out of videos. I'm not getting any callers, so I'm going to play the last video for you. I have like a couple short ones, but I'm going to play this last one and give someone a chance to call if they'd like to call. The telephone number's right there on the screen. Otherwise, we'll see what happens. I'll be right back. And again, I think this story most likely links back to Israel in some way. I'm very good at this, so you know. Anybody's wondering.
3 Haitian officials working to investigate the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse are now in hiding after a barrage of death threats following their continuing refusal to tamper with evidence. This development has called into question the ability of the probe into the Haitian president's death to deliver justice, and comes just as his surviving widow speaks out in an interview with the New York Times over the weekend, stating, quote, "They thought I was dead." Joining us now is Vanya Andre, journalist with the Haitian Times. Welcome back, Vanya.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
Good. Glad to see you safe and sound. We'd love an update on what is going on with the investigation. Last time we checked in, a couple of people had been arrested as potential assassins, and they had been connected to foreign training groups. Where are we at now?
Sure. So we're approaching nearly the 1 month anniversary since the president's assassination, and the investigation is well underway. However, what we're seeing is that more questions than answers are coming out of this almost 4 weeks later. As you mentioned, that there are a number of officials that have gone into hiding, a number of officials that have received death threats because, frankly, they allege that they are not playing ball with bad actors who want them to do witness tampering, to implicate folks that have not been named in their investigations and in their interviews. So what we really see now is, a situation where the investigation itself is being called into question. And the more witness tampering that there is, the more officials that feel as though they cannot do their job accurately and safely, that really is going to end up calling into question any conclusions that come out of this investigation. And from the beginning of this, Haitians and Haitian Americans, they were very doubtful of the justice system in Haiti to be able to execute an investigation that would really lead to answers about who was behind the assassination.
And what we know is that the government there in Haiti is still settling in. So how much of this, the concern about the investigation, is being overshadowed by the instability of government?
At this point, from what we're hearing from our sources, both here in the U.S. and on the ground in Haiti, is that pretty much all eyes are still on the investigation. At this point, anyone that could have possibly benefited from the president's death is a suspect. And, it's really all eyes on this. The Haitian people want to know who's behind this. There have been several theories. And while, yes, in the background, there are a lot of conversations about whether or not elections will be going on in September, what are going to be the priorities of this transitional administration. Again, it's really all eyes on who's behind this, especially following the interview with the First Lady and the New York Times.
When you say all eyes are on this investigation and who could have benefited, there's a few people that we've heard rumors about. The interim momentary Prime Minister Claude Joseph, the head of the palace or the police force himself as well. Help us connect some dots and understand who right now is really a target for the investigation.
Well, we have a number of people from the business and political classes in Haiti. So, one common word that's been thrown around with this has been the oligarchs. The oligarchs in Haiti, they pretty much control everything in the country, financially, politically, behind the scenes, moving chess pieces. And so there are a few people within their business leaders that people question. There are also the people who were a part of the opposition. Remember, for the past couple of years, Jovenel Moïse's administration has been bombarded by calls for him to step down, accusations that he's not a legitimate president, especially considering the controversies around his election. So you have a number of people who essentially, for all different motives, have a reason to want this man dead.
I mean, the intrigue is unreal at this point. What about the United States government? Is the U.S. government implicated or expected to intervene?
It's a little bit of both, so there are several conversations going on at the same time. On one side, there are reports coming from South America that say that the gentlemen that are in custody from Colombia, the ex-military, they say that they were under the impression that they were going to do a mission to give protection to a high-profile person with the backing of the U.S. government. There are other conversations where people find it very hard to believe that this plot was allowed to happen without the U.S. knowing. U.S. intelligence is some of the unmatched intelligence in this world. So the idea that this was essentially happening in their backyard is one that people have a lot of doubts about. And then on the other hand, you have a upcoming political crisis, electoral crisis. And then again, the investigation is not being handled properly. properly. You have witness tampering, you have threats to investigators, you have forensic evidence that was not properly collected or just completely tampered with. So now there's also calls to look to the US to see what guidance that they can give to make sure that this investigation is done accurately and effectively, so that way there's confidence in whatever conclusions come out of it.
Well, this all sounds as clear as mud in terms of who did this, and Vanya, we'll expect you to keep us honest as we all watch this unfold. Thank you for joining us tonight.
All right. So did you hear what she said during that interview there? She said, who benefits from this, right? This is what I've been saying all show. This is the most basic question, that when these kind of things happen, when events happen on the world stage especially, you need just immediately, the number one question needs to be, who benefits from this? And then you can analyze everything and come to your best conclusion. Don't let some fucking propagandist tell you who benefits from it. Use your own common logic, okay? You don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure out that Iran doesn't benefit with this so-called attack on a drone attack on a tanker. Iran does not benefit by that. Now, if Iran wanted to hit a tanker, why would they just send one bomb? Why wouldn't they send a dozen or 100? It doesn't make sense. But if you want to vilify Iran, you can hit this tanker where it basically does repairable damage, right? And except for the 2 sailors who died, I don't want to overlook that. It doesn't sink the ship. It doesn't create an environmental disaster. It simply sends a message, right? And what could that message be? Iran is an evildoer. Look what they did. How does that benefit Iran? This is all I'm saying. This is what you always need to ask. The person who's having the fingers pointed at them, how does this benefit them? Because if it doesn't, then you have to use your logic and say, who does it benefit? Who benefits? Who benefits? That's the main question, people. I played all my videos. I'm going to give you one last chance to call, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. The number is 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your...
Oops. Sorry, I screwed up that one. Start over.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am?
You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
Keep it Brightside, babies. That's all my videos. Which means we've come to the end of a show once again, which is always the hardest part of the day for me, having to say goodbye to you lovely people. That being said, we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow, same Mox time, same Mox channel. So until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is gonna die. Let me try that again. My brain is not functioning correctly today for whatever reason. Again, we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow, same Mox time, same Mox channel. Until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is gonna end. Stay cool till then.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition